Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Fallout New Vegas. So this game, without any mods, anti-crash mods, has hit a new low in its bugginess, which really, this highlights a problem I think with just Bethesda's way in which they've developed games, like in general. I don't think Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 suffer from the same issues. They aren't based on Gamebryo engine or Creative Engine, which is based on the Gamebryo engine in the first place. But when you have Obsidian being given the developer credits for this game, it's not just that Bethesda Softworks is also bad at using the Gamebryo engine. It's also Obsidian is bad at it because it's the same crashiness. But like I said, it's hit a new low now where my latest manual save, which thank goodness autosaves exist, and thank goodness I'm making manual saves relatively frequently every couple hours, but even in a couple hours, we very possibly now may end up having an episode where I just redo what I did before. Fortunately, the autosave did work this time, but the manual save did not. It gets corrupted in some way. When it tries to load, it just spins its wheels forever. This game takes less than a second to load any other save file. And we kind of knew
but could I trouble you to turn over your weapons?
the game was crashing because when we had this conversation before, none of the audio was playing. So we knew the audio engine is breaking. And I kind of wonder if that isn't a significant source of the crashing in these games. In fact, it's kind of typical in old games that the audio engine would crash and that it just would not be sandboxed and separated away from the rest of the game engine in such a way that you could gracefully just have the audio engine crash and then audio wouldn't play for a second, then you would just reboot effectively the audio engine in a parallel processing. Parallel processing, as far as how games work, are kind of pathetically bad. Because you're targeting consoles, this would have been targeting something like the Xbox 360. There, at best, are going to be 2 cores, maybe 4 threads, probably not even that much on an Xbox 360. And even at that, the engines, like the Gamebryo engine, even today in 2024, still fairly struggle on parallel processing. It's hard for you to really optimize for that, since most of what's happening in the game is linear, so most of what should be happening in a game should be in a single thread, or at least on a single core. You can try and break out the cutscene loading or the animations or the AI into parallel processes, but you still have to program them to gracefully work with each other, or at least gracefully fail. What you shouldn't have is the game completely lose its momentum and crash completely, or just fill up the RAM because it's trying to fix the problem. And at a very low level, that is in part the argument for things like the Rust programming language, which is a relatively new programming language, but it is very possibly the way forward for all kinds of programming, including game programming, because the Rust programming language is written in such a way that it's a lot more difficult to make mistakes.
My deepest apologies for the slightest inconvenience. You have my assurance that everything will be returned upon your departure. But we simply can't have anyone waving their weapons around in the hotel. It's not the atmosphere we wish to cultivate. Please, enjoy your stay.
So they're all wearing masks. They might all be ghouls.
They'll be handled with the utmost security in our bank. Adieu.
So my thought is that they are either ghouls or vampires or werewolves, and they're doing something weird. What would be even more funny, I think, is if... Yeah, this is a little too bright this time with the flashlight. I think it'd be more funny if they are just straight up polite people in a post-apocalyptic world that can't handle or doesn't expect politeness. As far as the casino floor goes, it looks exactly similar to what I would expect, although I would say the design here seems a little bit wiser in that they've just got one roulette, one blackjack, one roulette, one roulette, one blackjack, one blackjack, and it seems like you can't even play the blackjack and roulettes on some of these tables, but you can on some others. Let's see. And here we have Gunderson hired hand.
Hey there. You watch yourself around, Mr. Gunderson.
Hi. So who's Mr. Gunderson? Here. We have a named character. Let's talk to him.
Beg your pardon, stranger, but I'm looking for someone. You ain't seen a young man with dark brown hair and a white hat on lately, have you? Ain't nobody got one darn piece of news about my boy. Not one lousy speck of information. Ain't got one Brahmin unaccounted for across a dozen ranches. But I'm here for an hour and my own son just up and disappears on me.
So this is probably going to start a quest.
Yep, got a whole mess of Brahmins to my name. Bighorners, too. Used to just have the one ranch. But land
You
was
certainly
easy to
could
grab
have
before the soldiers moved in.
more quests
Before
where you
I knew
actually
it, I
are
was
looking
running
for
one of the
people in this
biggest
game.
ranching operations east
Of course, the
California.
map points you
Now,
right
everywhere
to
I
where the
go,
people
folks
are.
I never even met shake my hand and call me Mr. Gunderson. Don't quite know what to make of that. Made me a special arrangement with the hotel. They want to do business with me, they got to play by my rules. A lot of people out there resent success. Might want to take a swipe at me. This makes them think twice. If I'd have been thinking, though, I'd have had him watching my boy instead. Then none of this would have happened.
A lot of redundant lines of dialogue here that seems like you could program them to just be skipped.
My boy, Ted, he was right here. I didn't leave him but a minute. I told him to stay put while I talked some things over with the White Glove folks. He was never one to stay tied down to a spot, though. Gets that from his mother. Got most of my staff out looking for him now. I'd be out myself, but I keep hoping he'll show up back here. Of course, if he does that, I'll whoop him till his skinny hide turns to leather for putting me through this. But that don't mean I wouldn't be grateful.
Let's ask some of the other questions before we say we'll help him.
That's between me and the White Glove Society. But let's just say they control the food supply around here, and I got lots of food to give. But that ain't as welcome as you might think.
Interesting. So they might be cannibals.
That's what they call themselves, the folk that run this place. They're the ones dressed all fancy with their bow ties and shiny dresses. Some of them got masks, too. Real hard to trust folks like that. A couple of them show their faces, and that's who I do my business with. I don't talk to none of the other ones.
So, yeah.
I'd be more than happy to have you.
I
Heck,
still
I'll hire anybody with a pair of
very
legs,
much
at least one
feel...
good eye at this point. There'd be a lot of money in it for you if you can get him back to me safe. And if he ain't, you can bet I'll pay for the names of the sons of bitches responsible. I'll be here.
So it's other quest. Beyond beef. See if we can talk to this
You
guy.
watch yourself
Nope.
around, Mr. Gunderson.
Howdy.
Welcome to Top Shelf. The drinks cost twice as much during happy hour, but they draw twice the attention, too.
Not really anything new.
Give me a shout if
I wonder if they actually do
you.
cost twice as much at happy hour, or if that's just a joke. Yeah, this is about the level, though, that I would like to see the size of these casinos. And I definitely would like to see the casinos in the four corners of the map. Just one fairly nicely, bespokely decorated room that has all the gambling, which gambling itself has proven so far to be useless and pointless. Here we have a nice room for the cages. There definitely gives the feeling that if your stealth is high enough, you could just sneak into these cages and rob them. Then having a third room here is not a real problem, but I think we are going to get to a point where it's going to start to get a little extreme as this happens, and this feels all a little frame ratey, if I was to guess, and maybe I'm just not smoothly turning.
How may I be of service, madam?
Let's see.
My, such a popular question. I suppose it is only natural to see us and wonder what it is that makes us special. The White Glove Society has only just made itself known to the public, of course, but our pedigree was established over generations. Were we always so refined? I'd be lying if I said yes. But I've always felt we were destined for a place atop modern society. And now, here we are. Not everyone can wear the finest clothes and eat the finest foods, obviously. That's just the reality we live in. But surely we can agree that the most tasteful, sophisticated people are the most deserving. And that's what the White Glove Society is all about.
So this is basically some group that's trying to sell themselves on almost near royalty concepts, but would be, I imagine, more close to the American exceptionalism concept of the rich deserve to be rich and the sophisticated deserve to be the leaders of society. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a group of people who were living in the vaults and were very rich from pre-war. Now they are coming out of the vaults and trying to establish things, establish authority based on class, and establish a class system in general. And Kaiser, is also effectively trying to create a class system with the slaves, and even NCR is effectively creating a class system with NCR citizens versus non-NCR citizens. Inherently, there is no real room for democracy in this Fallout universe because it is all too much closer to a warring states anarchy level of society.
No, not from the likes of you, I'm afraid. I don't think you'd have the stomach for it. Better look elsewhere.
Interesting.
Indeed.
So...
should have bet we'd kill the fiend's leader. Hey.
Optional find out more about the White Glove Society. So, is it the case that because I have the wrong items equipped, that I am not being taken seriously? If that was the case, we could do that. We have Caleb McCafferty's hat to turn in. Right, this is more what I should be wearing for any fights. Let's see if Rex has any problem with us wearing a hat now. Seemingly not. So it seems like when Rex got his new brain, that stopped being an issue. Here we have Chauncey, who may be a performer for the Aces.
Good day.
Hmm.
Those are all members of the White Glove Society. Our founder Marjorie gave us all a dress code. There's only one rule to it. In her words, we must dress in such a way that no one can be said to have dressed better than us. As for the masks, I'm not allowed to tell you. We're sworn to secrecy.
You can see his hands
Actually,
look
that's not
very
true.
scarred.
That's just what we're supposed to say. I think Marjorie likes them for the mystery they create, and the way they make it clear that we're different from everyone else. But you didn't hear that from me. Must have forgotten to put it on. How embarrassing.
Now, I really don't like the fact that the audio gets muffled when people are wearing masks. While that is realistic, I think an effort to make a hyper-realistic RPG game is just kind of pointless. When you think about some of the best RPG games out there, most of them are Japanese RPGs, and most of them are not really that realistic. Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy 7, 13, whatever Final Fantasy you want to pick, none of that's in needing to show bathrooms, needing to have muffled voices and conversations. Just in the same way that if you look at other mediums like movies, the audio is always sweetened in movies, is what the process is called. It's made up, it's adjusted for better effect. Every punch is made louder. Every gunshot is made louder.
Oh, well, it's a big hotel. You should talk to Marjorie. She's in charge and she can probably help you find anyone you might need. She usually works at the front of the Gourmand. She likes to see how people respond to it. You can get to the Gourmand from the lobby here. It's a big set of double doors on the first floor of the eastern side. Can't miss it.
Yeah, that's another example of just being too realistic. We don't need 3 sentences of dialogue telling me how to get to an area, when he could have just said she's usually at the Gourmand, and then a map point would just light up in the top left to point us that way, because I'm still going to use my cursor and my compass to point me in directions. So this is the Gourmand. There's all kinds of wardrobes you should be stealing from. This is a bathhouse. Now I would have assumed that the Gomorrah would have been the place where we would have seen the entirety of the area. So, members only section. But I am a little concerned here that the bathhouse is going to be actual naked bodies. Not really concerned though, considering if they were willing to do realism, and here's the one point where they aren't willing to do realism, they wouldn't have the pristine underwear outfits for every character. When we stripped them of their clothes, they would just be naked. So, yeah. They will bend over backwards for realism, except for when it risks sales. And in that case, they will have gamblers sitting in a nice giant bathtub. Water itself, swimming pools or otherwise, are very infrequent in this game, and they don't really play any real role. Like, yeah, I don't know what you can do in water in a Fallout game though.
Should have bet we'd kill the Fiend's leader.
It would definitely have been a very bold move. Nice architectural design. That's about the one thing that I do like about Bethesda games, is that when they actually try, or Bethesda style games, when they actually try, you can get some nice architecture and design. The question is, how do you make this make sense? I think you need to say, first of all, we want something like a sequence where mole rats or ghouls crawl up from the base of a swimming pool and attack you, and then you have this like shooting gallery, and maybe you are given a machine gun to play with the machine gun, since you're not going to use that very often in the game. Or you have an investigation where the water is especially radioactive, and you have to investigate what's making it radioactive. Or you have a sewer grate in this. Lily's has a swimming animation, I'm surprised. The dog has a swimming animation too, I guess. No, not really. He's more just walking on the water. But yeah, you have to effectively create... and see, here's a article about Gamora more than an article about the Ultralux, and we're in the Ultralux. That's weird. The Ultralux is mentioned here. But yeah, you have to have a good gameplay mechanic and reason to make the pool before a good director would greenlight the idea of making a pool. Here we have what seems like a steam room, and so there might very well be a mystery to be had here. And in this case, the steam room is showing off one of the few rooms that's actually circular in the entire game, I think. And yet it's still really just using that same tile set. So this is reusing already existing assets, whereas making this pool tile set and these pool tiles and this pattern, that doesn't feel like that's reused content. That feels like they spent a lot of effort on it. And my guess is they probably made the hotels very, very early in development, and then really failed to make them important. There is room at some level to...
That fiend leader shouldn't have messed with our great army.
Let's see, gambler and traveler. There is room, I think, to potentially make a game that only takes place in a vault, in a Fallout game. Some spin-off game, some smaller game. In that same way of thinking, I also think there's a room for making a New Vegas game where you spend significant amounts of time inside the casinos, trapped inside the casinos even. So there's a lot of hotel rooms here and textures popping in and out. But they are differently decorated and weirdly seem a little overpopulated. Whereas in the Gamora hotel rooms, it was underpopulated with people. Bon Vivient Suite needs a key. Rex is getting in the way. We could scan to see if there's anything important, and it seems like there isn't. The other way this could go, certainly, instead of it being something mysterious and cannibals, which is where I suspect it's going to go, it could be that this is just a group of people who really, really love fashion, and then that could bring in all of the like pre-war outfits concept and try and do something more with those kinds of outfits. Or this may have to do with having your charisma stats very high, which, let's see, where is our charisma? It's at 7. It's not particularly high. But yeah, I could see trying to integrate those concepts and those third and fourth gameplay mechanics better. I could see where Obsidian, trying to do something different, might experiment with that. But that would also feel fairly out of place compared to Fallout 3 if this really was just a charisma check or a fashion check. Here we have Marjorie. Yeah. And she's kind of blown out. This area kind of doesn't need the flashlights. If I turn it on, that's too much whites. On as far as I can tell.
Welcome to the Ultralux. I do hope it exceeds your every expectation.
So she is the person who runs the casino. She might be like a vampire queen.
I do, but one can hardly call it work. I think of myself as a caretaker rather than a common laborer. I suppose it is a labor of love if it can be called labor at all. We at the White Glove Society are all responsible for maintaining the beauty and class of the Ultralux. And as its founder, I suppose it falls to me to decide how we go about it.
So there is one section that I now am remembering for Fallout 3 where you ran into just an absolutely crazy person. It was kind of a sad story, if I recall correctly, and it really just highlighted how you should probably be running into a lot more crazy people. Borderlands, in contrast, as an RPG, makes all of the psycho characters, which is probably about a third of the types of enemies you fight in Borderlands 1, just by default, incredibly crazy. There undoubtedly should be something like the Fiends, but even crazier. People that would like suicide bomb you and run towards you, or that would, if you talk to them, would spout utter nonsense, and you would need medicine skills at a very high level to even cure them of their insanity. And the Fiends are crazy on drugs, but really just this situation should drive people crazy in a post-apocalyptic thing. One thing about Borderlands 2 is by having the psychos run towards you always, it makes for a much faster, much more interesting shooter game, which you really can't describe Fallout games as shooter games, even though that's what they technically are, because there's just a lot more enemies always running directly in your line of sight.
What else? Mr. Gunderson and I have been discussing his livestock. It's put us in a rather delicate position, you see, his coming here. Not that we aren't grateful for his generous offer. But our executive chef, Philippe, has transformed Brahmin steak into a delicacy. He really is a genius. Everyone wants it. But a delicacy is just that, delicate. If everyone can get it, it ceases to be a delicacy. It becomes a perfectly ordinary staple. And if the gourmand served staples, it would no longer draw the caliber of people it deserves. It would be a diner or a family restaurant. So as much as we'd all love for there to be enough steak for everyone, I'm afraid there are more important things to consider.
So they're willing to let people starve just to maintain an air of exclusivity.
This again? I thought this was all settled. I answered every one of that investigator's questions to his satisfaction and gave all the help I could. I know our reputation hasn't always been spotless, but that's all in the past now. How some people can't get over it is beyond me. For the last time, the White Glove Society has never and will never consume human flesh for any reason. It's written in the charter. There was an investigator who came through here last week. He'd been hired by a young man whose bride-to-be went missing during their stay here. Well, you can already guess what probably happened, can't you? It seems perfectly likely that
second
she got cold feet and ran
disappearance.
off. And that young groom just didn't have a clue, the poor dear.
It's kind of interesting to even have marriage in this world.
Why, yes, I think so, if he hasn't checked out yet, that is. I had our maitre d' Mortimer offer him a complimentary room for as long as it took for him to be satisfied. You see, the White Glove Society remains the very picture of courtesy, even in the face of such impolite accusations. We have nothing to hide here.
Still too much dialogue and kind of hard to pay attention when I think I'm at least a step ahead.
Now, didn't I already tell you that we don't do that sort of thing? We do not engage in cannibalism here under any circumstances.
This feels like this is also the only way you could become a cannibal.
Was time, a dark time,
where it feels like in Fallout 3 there were a lot more options.
But that's all changed now. We've
and it definitely feels like
such base impulses since settling into our new home.
Yeah,
I've seen
you should be able to become a cannibal. Yeah, it definitely feels like in all the Fallout games, and maybe even the Skyrim games, and maybe even in Starfield, you should just always be able to eat human flesh. You should find it around as a consumable on raiders and just gangs, bad guys. Let's go with this one.
A man? Well then this can't be. 2 disappearances in my hotel? What will people say? I'm going to have a word with my staff about security on the premises. Whether these people are found or not, our guests simply must feel safe in their own rooms.
Alright, let's try to lie. Our speech skills should be high enough for this.
You disgust me. How dare you say such a filthy thing in my establishment? I ought to have you arrested. You'll kindly mind your tongue or we shan't speak any further.
Interesting, so I gained infamy. And I don't think gaining infamy is going to actually help anything. You'd think this red folder might mean something, but it doesn't seem like it does.
Hello there.
We have a white glove with a cane weapon, I would assume. Here we have dog steak, Brahmin steak. I have no idea where the line is. Yeah.
Our guys put the monorail back to work.
I wonder if a lot of these gamblers aren't going to eventually just straight up gamble on who is going to win the big war when it happens. Gourmand is basically a restaurant. Let's see what the food supplier.
You look positively famished. You won't find better.
As far as what they're selling, Wasteland omelet is about the only thing we can buy here. And from the looks of it, if I was to buy one, it would have a value of 100. So I'm paying 119 for buying one. The rest of this food.
Give me a shout. Pleasure speaking to you.
Seems to be fairly common food, and noticeably there was no steaks in that. So a kitchen locked easy. We'll go talk to the investigators. See if we can find the investigator. This would just go back through the bathhouse, or we could just walk and save us maybe one load by going this way. Need to make sure we're on the right quest, though. Yeah. Mortimer. Let's check the local map and see if we can figure out. Bon Vivient Suite. So if any of these were the investigator, they would have had a name.
Evening.
So it's got to be here. That would be my guess as to how this all is gonna go. Although, let's just go through the bathhouse anyways. It may be one more load, but the loads aren't really that long.
I told everyone we shouldn't have bet.
It definitely feels like you could have a version of this game where you have to wander around finding specific people. But yeah. Here's Mortimer.
How may I be of service, madam?
Let's go with this.
Ah, yes. I've heard that one too. Jealous people say such nasty things. I feel sorry for them.
Speech 62.
Good. And you know what it is to be discreet in matters of nutrition. Perhaps you can help me. I'm in a bind. I've been planning an exquisite society dinner, but there's a bit of a problem with the main course. He's got a powerful and temperamental father. Yes, the wrong person. We scouted the right one for weeks. The heir to a mercantile empire, sort of a black sheep. He cut ties with his family and left their estate to wander. He was ideal, corn-fed and well-to-do, but no one to miss him if he were to disappear. Unfortunately, the trap my subordinates set for him failed, and as he escaped, he saw their faces. Now he's wary. I asked for a last-minute replacement, and they stole the son of the most dangerous Brahmin baron in New Vegas while he stayed at this very hotel. Needless to say, this could be a disaster if things aren't put back the way they should be. And I still need somebody reputable to serve for dinner. Strictly speaking, we're no longer allowed to eat people, but I'm hoping the right person and preparation might sway Marjorie to see things my way.
So what is this quest going to ask me to do?
I need a replacement, and I need the boy taken care of. The replacement must be healthy and well-bred. One can't very well make steak from gristle. With so little time, we'll have to go after our original choice, Carlisle St. Clair. He lives in a shack north of here. For freshness, we need him alive. If you could send him here or knock him out with this and drag him into the dumpster next to his house, we can do the rest.
With this, he gives us a cattle prod.
Ted Gunderson is his name. It would be simplest if we could convince him this was all an unfortunate misunderstanding. But if he won't listen, we can't very well let him go. He'll have to be slaughtered and served. Then we wouldn't need the replacement. But you would need to deal with his father, Heck. Perhaps if you could smear some of Ted's blood around his father's hotel room, you could frame him.
So we've got some more questions here. Hushed, would my companion here make a suitable replacement meal? What the attack? We could do that. Why would you want to, like, some of these options just don't make sense. It's just like, do you want to finish a quest and not get as much experience?
Splendid, splendid. The boy is being held in the kitchen beneath the gourmand. Here are some keys that will allow you access to him. The elder Gunderson is staying in our penthouse. I understand he's hired security, so be careful if you go up there. And our Mr. St. Clair resides to the north. He rarely strays far from his house, and he's surrounded it with booby traps.
Okay. We might as well just exhaust all the dialogue.
No. Everyone he meets, he tells the same story. That his son disappeared from the casino, not from his room. He'll look guilty.
Alright. And then the free room to the private investigator.
Private investigator. Ah, yes, I remember the gentleman. This was about the missing bride. Such an awful thing. I do hope he finds her whereabouts. If I might pry, have you found something that will help his investigation?
Let's see.
Of course, of course. Now,
Let's go with that
ordinarily, we
one.
don't give out guest information, but I think given the circumstances, he'll want to speak with you. Let's see. He hasn't checked out yet. If you head back to the hotel rooms, his will be one floor directly above you after you exit the lobby. I hope we can put this whole matter to rest at last. Indeed.
Our guys put the monorail back to work.
So if this is the lobby, one floor, I'd assume it's this. No. Let's see if the quest told us. Go to the get into the investigator's room at the Ultralux. It's not going to be like some secret passage, I imagine. This is the investigator's room. Okay. And so we have an investigator with a matchbook item. Steam room, 4 p.m.
Had enough?
Right, let's see if that, so we should investigate more things. But yeah, he's dead. And so if I had lied and said I had some important information, then nothing seems like it would have changed. Here we have just like perfect state textures for the bathrooms things. And that really feels like that's just going to be completely underused. Just go ahead and take those. I don't believe those guys attacked me specifically because of me taking the matchbook off of the body. And that wasn't even considered stealing. Yeah, this room has a lot of near perfect textures. Again. Which just gives you a nice change of pace. But it doesn't linger around enough to matter. Okay. So steam room, 4 p.m. That would be, wait, 2 hours, I guess. And then it would either be a case of having to wait several seconds. It seems about 30 seconds is a minute Now about 10 seconds is a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, about 5 seconds is a minute. So if we were going to wait for a full hour, that would be a lot. I think it's easier just to wait for an hour, and that probably will work. Like, because I imagine whoever I'm supposed to meet here will show up.
I heard they brought in sea salts from California just for this bath.
Let's double check. Steam room 4 p.m. Ah, and it is 4 a.m. So let's just wait another 11 hours. The internal clock system in this game is another third gameplay mechanic that is underutilized. It doesn't really need to exist. Could have just been that as soon as you got the matchbook, you would have seen it say meet me in the steam room, and then that would have triggered somebody being at the steam room. We can just kind of wait now. About 5 more seconds. Here we are. Here we have a White Glove Society member walking to the steam room in Chauncey.
Who are you? Matchbook? What about the man I gave it to? Oh my goodness me. They must know he was talking to someone on the inside. They'll be watching everyone closer now. I knew this was a mistake. Mortimer, if he realizes it was me the investigator was planning to meet, he'll have me killed. Yes, the White Glove Society strictly forbids eating humans, but we weren't always the White Glove Society. Mortimer and some of the others have regressed to the old ways. They've taken many people over the last few months, but always from Freeside or secluded places where they wouldn't be missed. It wasn't enough. Lately, they've gone for tourists here on the Strip, even in the hotel. I guess that's the hazard of a cannibal becoming a gourmet. It's hard to please a refined palate. The girl, the one who disappeared, I know what happened to her. Because I distracted her fiancé while they took her. Well, I'm not proud of it, but I had to. They could see I was having second thoughts. Some of the White Gloves began meeting privately a while back, started talking about how we'd lost our identity. I started attending because I thought it was about changing our politics. Then they started talking about returning to the old ways, and there was no way out. They'd kill me for the things I heard them say. He's alive, as far as I know. They're trying to keep him fresh. Mortimer has special plans for him. The White Glove Society has a banquet every night at 7. It's in our private section. Mortimer wants to reintroduce humans into our cuisine. Since eating people is a crime we punish by death, he's going to do it in secret. After everyone has eaten it, he'll tell them. With no real way to punish everyone, in Mortimer's mind anyway, their minds will be open to the idea of eating people as a delicacy. I don't know exactly. I wasn't in on it. I think some of them have stopped trusting me. But you can bet they're keeping him near the gourmand. Our chef, Philippe, has an obsession with fresh ingredients. It'd be back in the members-only section, so you'll have to be careful. Don't be seen, and more importantly, don't let them see Ted in the open. It's guarded both at the lobby entrance and in the access tunnels leading from the main restaurant. I could sponsor you as an honorary member, but I don't know that you've achieved the level of status that would gain the Society's approval. Perhaps if you were to gain some more notoriety on the Strip, we could get you in. Otherwise, you'll have to find some way to get inside quietly. It won't be easy, and it'll be harder still to get them out. They might, but to him, the legacy of returning to the old ways is worth his own life. I don't think he expects it, though. I don't either. Nothing is more important to the Society than being on the cutting edge of New Vegas cuisine. Mortimer's idea will appeal to that need. He just has to get them over the taboo.
Very herky-jerky animations as he's talking here.
That may
You
be
can see
true,
his
but I wouldn't
head
recommend
just
it.
jerking
He's
back and
built a
forth.
reputation, and it isn't for calmness and impartiality. He's not what he looks like. They call him Hurricane Heck. The man built his empire by hiring mercenaries to drive off the competition. Lately, he's been attacking our Brahmin suppliers so he can take over their business. He's the sort to pound in a nail with a wrecking ball. If you give him the whole story on this, he'd be liable to raise the entire hotel. And God knows what he'd do to the rest of the strip. I don't know exactly, but it's...
Let's see. I can't get out of this conversation. You have to work your way.
Well, they'll all be sampling pre-war wines before the meal. Maybe it's as simple as drugging them. Although that wouldn't stop any future kidnappings. You'd have to expose Mortimer, but he's going to confess anyway. What if his revelation were a lie? What if no one had eaten human flesh but him? If you could somehow replace Philippe in the kitchen and serve a convincing substitute instead, you could walk Ted right through the middle of that room after Mortimer speaks, and then he'd have some explaining to do. Philippe has been trying to approximate the taste of human flesh for years. He must have a recipe somewhere. Let's plan on meeting again as soon as... Wait, did you hear something? Were you followed?
Don't even... Now, remember, I wouldn't even have a gun at this point, but I'm such a high level, and as long as I have companions with us... Now, there is definitely a possibility that you could be playing without ever picking up any companions, and as such, you may not have a weapon on you, and at that point, he would potentially just kill you. But I imagine that wouldn't happen because you could still just punch the guy to death if necessary. So they've given us several different ways to finish this quest. We could join the White Glove Society where we would need a sponsor. We could drug the wine. We can get rid of Philippe and cook the banquet using his recipe for human flesh. And then what has to be done is finding a way to gain access to the members only section and getting Ted back to his father if still alive. At least that is the hope.
Hello.
I would have liked more of a twist here. This all feels fairly obvious if you've played Fallout 3. And I really hope whenever I get around to playing Fallout 4 that you don't have a bunch of quests that are very much like that, where you where we would be doing very similar quests, if not the exact same quests.
Salutations.
Okay. So it seems like there's a sewer entrance. Or can we sneak in here? Let's just make a safety save. It's a good move to make a safety save anyways. So we have a full stealth boy character. So that's completed. Let's go ahead and equip the cattle prod. Seems like it is a unique weapon that will work completely multiple times. And we have just a white glove and a white glove. flamethrowing what looked like Brahmin. And then we have another vent. I definitely feel like these vents were added as an afterthought. Elevator to the ultra luxe kitchen. Apparently we're detected, and yet they don't seem to really care. The dog barking, the dog existing at all, seems to not cause you to be detected. And see if the vent that we saw up there just came out of that vent.
What do you think you're doing?
Alright. Speech 55. We don't even know who this person is.
First he's too trusting, now he doesn't trust any of us. It addles the senses. I suppose caution is the desirable course at this point. It's all of our necks if something goes afoul.
Alright, so we can just apparently lie our way through all this. And so the elevator would have just taken us here. So the elevator seems like it's kind of pointless. Maybe there would be a repair quest. Let's just see. Nope. So it's just a white glove. Then we have an inaccessible door. And we have a door. And I don't even care about picking up sunset sarsaparillas. At some point, the game would have had to have given me a radar or a map for where sunset sarsaparillas were, if they weren't being randomly generated, which I assume they are just being randomly generated. Don't talk on the intercom, apparently, either. So, poisoning the wine was a thought. Is there a way to poison the wine? Did we find anything? We have chems, certainly. We were supposed to poison the wine with chemicals. So we have a bathroom, we have another round room being used. We're looking for a recipe, because that seems like that would be the quest, way of finishing this quest with the most experience. And my survival skills may not be high enough. Like, it may very well turn into a situation where you need a very high survival skill to craft fake human flesh. And you have a very nicely decorated kitchen here, and here's Philip.
Salutations. Why are you standing still? Do you think the world waits for you while you stand there drooling? Get back out there and get to work. Oh, really? So despite your filthy face and your vacant expression and your complete lack of human dignity, you're telling me you're not a server?
Let's see. Let's go with medicine.
What kind of harebrained fucking psychobabble bullshit is that? I yell at people because I like yelling at people, and because they fucking deserve it, not because Mumsy and Daddykins didn't hug me enough.
I assume this is a Gordon Ramsay equivalent, Hell's Kitchen type person. Of course, that's the American Hell's Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay. He's somewhat nicer of a guy in the British shows.
Oh, I see.
Depends on
you think
the
because my
producers
father
and the
walked
channel.
out on us when I was 5, now I have to yell at people. Or because my mother was a deranged chem fiend who regularly brought strange men home who told me to call them uncle. Or because my sisters would lock me in a shipping crate when they didn't want me around. And my brother... God, I'd forgotten about that. How could they do that to me? I can't stay here. I need to be alone. Forget about the fucking banquet. You know what? You can do it. You be the star chef. Take my recipes. It won't fill the hole, though. Just remember that. You'll always feel empty.
So, medicine saves the day. Just a little therapy. The question, I guess, is going to come down to absinthe. I don't think we've found absinthe, so I'm going to take one of those. There might be one of every food in here. We could certainly take a bunch of sunset sarsaparillas. Not sure how we are supposed to.
Hey there. My daddy's gonna kill all you bastards once he finds out what you done to me. My daddy sent you? God damn it. I almost died in here. What the hell took you so long? It's just one damn hotel. Who did this to me anyway? They hit me over the head before I got a look at them.
Should we lie?
What in the Sam hell? Eat me? What kind of sick bastards would eat a person? I'll tell you what. As soon as I'm out of here, and my daddy knows the story, you can bet there ain't gonna be no white hat society no more. To hell with that. You've seen those freaks. They dress the same, talk the same. You can bet they all eat the same too. They deserve what my daddy's gonna have coming for them. All right. But there's gonna be some justice one way or another. I'll see to that.
We're
Let's
trying
go.
our best to have
right behind
some
you.
fair justice here and not just have this turn into more violence where innocent bystanders are going to be affected. There's a lot of meats that are being shown here as far as mole rat meat and prawn steak and ant meat, gecko steak, like skulls, like not so much meat, the skulls. This highlights something. A lot of this, I think, is code base issues too. That a lot of these 3D models were made for Fallout 3 and they were just carried over. A lot of the code in general for New Vegas, I suspect, was made for Fallout 3 too. I suppose we could have maybe locked somebody in here, but things like noodles are probably a great example. There's just no reason for noodles to exist in the Fallout universe at all. We could call the head waiter, I guess, if we wanted to. And here's Philippe. He has decided to just walk into this room and stand.
Leave me alone, haven't you?
Let's go with the barter quest.
What, me? The supreme ruler of the Nevada dining scene? Teach some lowlife half... Do you think it would sell?
Let's go with speech and get some more experience.
You're pushing your luck. Here, I have a few copies on me. This better be good enough. We're gonna have a real problem if this thing isn't a hit. Well, what do you want? I'm very busy here. No, it'll ruin my ingredients.
So there's just several like dialogue choice options there that you can go further with. And I'm betting this is... How can this lead to the Ultralex kitchen? Yeah. We could apparently guard with this weapon. So this, I think, is going to go to the members only section.
Oh, don't you worry about it.
Let's just see if this works.
Like that?
Come on.
So this is just killing all the white gloves if we did this. Let's see what happens when we attack with this.
What have you done?
Had enough?
So I don't think that works. I don't think that's what we want to do. So let's just go back out this way. So maybe I'm supposed to be wearing White Glove Society items. So now I am dressed as a member of the White Glove Society. Which, the hope here is that this would let me exit this whole section without any more conflict. Not so much. So I'm vilified now with the White Glove Society. Which, I guess I'm not super upset about that either. Now, I will say, it kind of sucks that the White Glove Society outfit for the female character is just this white dress, and it isn't just a black equivalent of the... It isn't just an equivalent of the black suits. Yeah, I think I've missed something here as far as finding a sponsor to help you join the White Glove Society or drug the wine of the White Glove Society banquet, or getting rid of Philip the cook and cooking for the banquet using his recipes of human flesh. And I think pretty much just all those optional things are going to go away. Now, the hope here is that we aren't just going to be attacked by people. And then the lady's not here. So I was gonna just try and talk to her, but I guess we're just gonna take the boy back to his father.
That fiend leader shouldn't have messed with our great army.
And I guess I'm just gonna be on the bad side of the White Glove Society, which I'm okay with that. Even if they weren't cannibals. Like, the idea of the class system is not good for society in general.
Are you all right?
I'm fine.
And I guess we're just gonna have a full-on massacre happen here, which they're gonna kill all the White Glove Society in this area.
You got me my boy back. I got no words. Now I hope you didn't do no harm to whoever's responsible for this. I want to skin their hides myself.
Let's see.
Well, that does it. None of them maniacs will ever do business with Head Gunderson long as they live. Hell, I'll put me together a damn blockade. Hit 'em where it hurts. They control the food. Well, there ain't gonna be no food. Not for anybody in this whole damn town. It's a goddamn monument to inhumanity.
Whoops.
Let 'em starve. Biggest favor anyone's ever done this hellhole.
Let's hope this speech check changes his mind.
I don't like this place. Whole strip, really. Ever since I got here, the stink of it has flooded my nostrils. But you got a point. They're already hell-bent on depravity here. All I'd be doing is helping them along. All right. Well, I promised you I'd make it worth your while. So here you are. Try not to lose it all at the same casino.
So we've now been accepted by the strip in general, and yet we now have just a lot of White Glove Society. Infamy.
That fiend leader shouldn't have messed with our great army.
So everybody who's White Glove in this area, except for her,
Greetings.
has been shot. And her. Yeah. So, kind of sexist turn of events in that only the males in this room were shot. And the females were left alone. Did we get all the bodies? Okay. These guys don't seem to be upset with us.
Our guys put the monorail back
See
to
what
work.
Mortimer has to say.
How may I be of service, madam? You're either in... Once it... Indeed.
So Mortimer, I feel like we still need to turn him in. It's reminding me that I'm dressed as a member of the White Glove Society. You can lose karma and get XP. Lockpicking. We can go check the penthouse and see what we're gonna do. This is kind of a great example of just, you're never gonna be guaranteed a best case scenario in these experiences. You're eventually going to have a mission that's going to give you several either conflicting optional items that you can't do all of them, or you're just going to fail at actually accomplishing the optional missions because it'll be either a little too difficult or it won't be explained particularly well. This Gunderson hired hand seems like he wants to shoot me, but he's not. I think he's probably confused as to what state he's supposed to be in. And yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's anything else going on here. It's just yet another room that you would have potentially had to sneak around.
Oh, don't you worry about me, dearie. Your grandma knows how to stay quiet.
There's just no way I'm going to be able to pull this off. There's nothing in there. If you absolutely needed to collect every single Nuka-Cola book, or every single book, or every single Nuka-Cola or Sunset Sarsaparilla, then there'd be something here to grab. But as it is, there's nothing. Nothing here. We were gonna potentially kill the boy and put him in here and frame the father, which wouldn't have been the worst thought to get rid of the father. It definitely comes off like there is just not a single good guy in the whole experience. And stealth picking that I think is not really necessary. Let's come and talk to Majorie now.
Welcome to the Ultralux. Why, yes. It's original.
Skip all of this.
And you have my... I hope... Ta-ta.
So we can't talk to her anymore. So what are we really capable of doing? See, I feel like I should just kill Mortimer. I'm not sure how to do that, though.
Hey, you like that? This is hopeless.
I'm uncertain as to what's supposed to happen here. Like, how could we have poisoned the wine, for instance? Just doesn't seem like there's a way to do it here.
How do you fare?
the rest of the White Glove Society does seem like they're kind of willing to not be aggressive to me.
Hello there.
So I don't know why that one person was aggressive to me other than the game is glitched, which I think is the case. I think for this engine there are just some characters that have their state saved in RAM, and even if you load an autosave, it doesn't load in the passive state back in by default, which that's obviously a bug. That should not happen. Okay. Brahmin Wellington. We will take any recipes. You should always steal them. Okay, so cook here using intelligence. And that gives you this. And we can't cook again. So, call head waiter.
How may I assist? But no one is in their chairs yet. Surely we should wait until 7 when the dinner guests arrive. I'll be ready when you need me.
Okay. So we cooked it, but we're not really plating it, as far as I can tell. So we will wait 5 hours. And then we'll wait another 12 hours because that's 7 a.m.
How may I assist? At once.
So, is he gonna show up as the head waiter? Okay.
The sooner you find yourself elsewhere, the better.
Rex, the dog, is totally in the wrong place.
The sooner you find yourself elsewhere, the better.
So here's an interesting thought. We may have to just load. Can we make some floor steak here? And let's see. Take the food, drop it on the floor, and then drag it to. So drop that there. I'd imagine not. Imagine that there's just no way that that would work. Alright, so we have to load. Well, this auto saved. When did this happen? Like 7 minutes ago? Alright, well, we'll load the autosave and see if we can do that. So the cooking still has happened, and I think the imitation meat is probably in our inventory. We can try to place it as much in the pan as possible. And then we can wait 12 hours, and I think that is probably what caused the autosave. And see if he can pick it up this time.
How may I?
Let's step over here. See if we can get the dog and Rex out of the way. Maybe Rex knocking him off track. Seems like he did pick it up. It seems like Philip is over here, and the idea would have been to just engage the lock.
What the? You son of a goddamn mother! Oh, let me out!
Alright. So let's see how this goes now. If we can get Mortimer to confess. And so, kind of obviously now, I should have done all of that, then freed the boy, then walked the boy just out of the room after the fact, after we see this section. This happen. So, is the head waiter really serving meat? Did he actually do it already? Here's the head waiter.
How do you fare? I am at your service.
And then white gloves.
How do you fare?
White glove visual glitching of standing on somebody else. So am I supposed to just sit?
Hello there.
How do you fare?
Hello there.
Yeah. Not sure if there was something more that was supposed to happen. It seems to me like the imitation meat has been served, and here's Mortimer. And
Hello there.
you would think
How do you fare?
Majorie.
So glad you could be here tonight. Ta-ta.
So 2 named characters, the rest of them unnamed characters, creating a hidden object game effectively.
Have you been inside our bathhouse? The salts in the water work to balance the bodily hues.
So, yeah, unless Mortimer has
Did you
something
see
to say.
Heck Gunderson, the Brahmin Baron, at the bar? He may be a wastelander, but his taste clearly befits his status.
Alright, so cannot wait in this location. So the only other thought I could do is this and this. So I'm not dressed as a White Glove Society member anymore.
The Brahmin Baron at the bar. He may be a wastelander.
So glad you could be here.
None of his dialogue is going to lead to anything else.
His taste clearly befits his status.
Hello there.
How do you fare?
Certainly you can buy the same drinks more cheaply elsewhere.
So yeah, the whole quest is just kind of broken at this point. I don't think there's anything more that can happen. Unless I was supposed to walk back in. And that was supposed to trigger some kind of cutscene.
Marjorie has done a remarkable job managing the restoration of this place, wouldn't you agree?
Meanwhile, I guess at 7 o'clock he is not here. So if there was something to steal, that might be interesting. You still have a cashier. You'd have to sneak around. Yeah, let's try that. Just for fun. Make another safety save. You can certainly see this is one of those examples where a new game plus might make sense.
Your grandma knows how to stay quiet.
Yeah. What can we really steal? Whole bunch of guns. Just take all that. That's all of ours. Take some bottle caps and pre-war money from this. Mostly though, we're noticing just chips are not accessible. So I was thinking at some point the game might push you towards the idea of having thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of caps. But if robbing the casino cashier drawer safe things is only getting you a few caps,
I've got you now.
how much of that was from stealing and how much of that was simply by moving the story forward with that quest? I think that probably is all from stealing. Alright, well, let's fix the over-encumberdness to start with. These items aren't really that valuable. So it's not really a case that picking up former wear from this area is going to lead to anything too interesting. Still have a good argument also as far as just increasing my repair skills. But honestly don't think it really matters too much. Anyways, that makes me just wonder, last thing, now that if I'm vilified and I go in here, will these guys just attack me?
What do you need? Indeed.
So it feels like there might have just been a full conversation that was had.
So glad you could be here.
Maybe I should have just sat down and just waited. But I think it's probably too late now.
How do you fare?
So I would assume that that is the end of the Ultralex as far as quests. One quest, somewhat long, sure, but not amazingly long. How would you get chips now that we've killed the guy? I guess you can't.
That fiend leader shouldn't have messed with our great army.
Let's just talk to this guy.
You done right by me.
You know, if you knew what you were doing, I could have been out of there hours ago.
Let's see if we can add some dynamite into his pocket.
Hey.
He has all the keys on him.
I knew those cons couldn't be trusted.
So much for the White Glove Society and its leaders. Wasn't really expecting to get rid of Marjorie, but yeah, that works for me. You can definitely see how that whole section is just completely disconnected from anything else as far as the rest of the strip and any of the other casinos. There was on this map, they talked about a shack being north of here. I don't know where that shack really would have been. I feel like I was given some new location to investigate at some point. The fort, yeah, that's where we're going. Is we're gonna go down here to Cottonwood Overlook and see all the Legion quests, however many Legion quests there might be. Definitely seems like there's got to be fewer locations and quests that the Legion would give us. Still kind of a big section here that I suspect you're just never going to actually access. Right. And that would be our main quest. See. But also we should talk to receptionist about Gamora activities. So can we get to Gamora? before we go to Vault 21. And this is the tops, and I can't even remember what happened at the tops. We do know that there's some more quests around the tops. Around the strip, not the tops particularly. So.
Hey, no one but Omer. You'll get.
Hello and welcome to... I knew someone would call in that mark soon. What do you want to know?
Let's see.
All I can tell you is to find Caccino. He's the lowest level lieutenant you're going to be able to talk to. Some of the girls say he's been involved in some shady business the family wouldn't really like. Ask him about it. I knew... Sorry. Bye.
So now this quest is talk to Caccino. He is in Gomorrah. Okay, so two things to consider here. Are we overburdened with items? Not at the moment because he took all my weapons. We did actually hand over all of the guns this time, so that'll be
I hear you
something.
chased that chicken shit Benny off. Good riddance.
Caccino is not here. No wonder it's so hard to find him. This is a bit of a maze.
I hear you've been asking questions about me, dickweed. What the fuck do you want? Business? What the fuck do you mean business? You looking to get yourself burned? Now you start talking real clear, and I mean fucking crystal clear, because I'm about to lose my patience. I don't give half a dick what you heard. Now get the fuck out of my face before I burn your sorry ass.
Oh, don't you worry about me, dearie. Your grandma knows how to stay quiet.
So now we, I guess, are going to Caccino's room if we can find it. Let's just make sure we know where it is. Sweets level, I assume. So this was the casino where we had a lot of locks to pick, and we kind of chose not to. Try that again. So we're looking for evidence. Gomorrah, obviously named after Sodom and Gomorrah, although from my understanding Sodom and Gomorrah biblically was destroyed for being unhospitable to the Jews of the time, not because they inherently were engaging in anything uniquely debaucherous. It's kind of a retcon of sorts that Sodom was arguably destroyed for sodomy, or however you nebulously define that. Let's see. Man, there really is just nothing here. definitely feels like if you are going to play as a thief in this game, you are then inherently forced into being a bad guy with low karma as a thief, where in a roleplay scenario where you wanted to be a thief but you wanted to be a good guy thief, then it's just not gonna work. Okay, so what is the next part of the quest now? We're gonna use his journal to get him talking. And the game is gonna crash. Okay, so this is the perfect time, I guess, for the game to crash, if it must crash, because we can end the episode here. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and keep on watching. Thanks.